Hey guys, it's Saturday. I don't know how many of you are home like we are, but actually, this is the first time that we have been home all day. I feel like my thing looks blurry. Hold on. Hold on, please. Is that better? I feel like it looks a little bit better. Oh, Facebook is telling me this is my 250th live broadcast. That's scary, sad, and kind of cool. It's been a really busy Saturday for us. This is the first time I've had to actually just sit for a second. But I definitely did not want to miss out on following up on the series that I've been doing this week about deployment. And I wanted to cover these 5 things. What's really interesting from this is that I actually unblocked Michael from this because he was asking me what happened to my series. And I said, well, it's done. I just blocked you from seeing it. And he didn't like that so much. He really wanted to see it. So I went ahead and made this public. He's sitting on the couch, but I'm pretty sure he's about to fall asleep. So I don't think he's going to see this tonight. But if you're getting on, just let me know that you're here. I'm going to be covering 5 things that I know if I had done these things or we had done these things, the last 12 years of our life would have been so different. Like I have said in these other videos over the last week, coming back from a combat deployment, there's not a lot of guidance as to how to get back into your life, back into your family. And Michael and I were talking about it today because I was telling him some of the things that I've brought up and some of the ideas that I have. And he was saying that the whole idea of PTSD as being something that's not something that's more accepted now than it ever was before is new. And so the idea of how to integrate back into your life and how to deal with things that you've seen is kind of a new concept. And so the military just hasn't really come up with a way to do that yet. Well, I have ideas, and I don't know who I need to talk to say these ideas, but I'm going to start working on that. This has kind of been my new mission, is to figure out how we can help families to get back into the groove after our deployment. One of Michael's friends who nearly died, has a Purple Heart, just went through terrible things. He's actually kind of working on some different things from the military side. And one of the things that he said is when you come back, you have to clean your weapon. You can't just put it back dirty. You have to clean it, get it right, get it back the way that it's supposed to be before you can turn it back in and like reshelf it. And the same should be for our service members. You know, we should be able to service them from the inside out and help them to process the things that they've seen so that they can go back with their families and be able to live, you know, a normal life, whatever that definition is for you. So, of course, I cannot speak from the military side. I would never try to do that. I just can't even fathom experiencing the things that I know just in my own life that Michael has experienced. I don't think that I would be able to even fall asleep at night, much less get up in the morning and act like a functioning adult. So, from the spouse side, the 5 things that I wish that we could go back in time and do differently. Number 5 is during his first deployment, which for us was the hardest deployment. It had the most tragedy in it. I should have gone and sought counseling for myself while the whole 6-7 months. I had a lot going on personally with my dad and everything at that time, plus everything that was going on with Michael, and I was a pretty new mom, and I wish that I had sought counseling for myself. Then the last month prior to him coming back, that counseling could have been geared towards how to react to his behavior, how to react to him not speaking for days at a time, how to react to feeling invisible in my own house because I'm being ignored. These are things that have happened. And my reaction to those things was anger, as it is justified to be. You know, when you are in a relationship and you feel lonely in that relationship and you feel abandoned and you feel frustrated and you can't say those things, then those things turn inside and it just comes out as anger. And that's what was happening for me. And there was a lot of resentment because I felt like I freaking sat here all this time and kept your house together and raised your kids, and this is the thanks that I get. This is the way that I get treated, and it's not right. But I never actually said those things. I just held them inside. And I feel like if I had counseling to go to get those things out, to justify that I was feeling, but more importantly, to be able to work through those feelings, then I would have been a better wife, a more supportive wife, and a more understanding wife. The fourth thing that I wish we had done differently was gotten counseling for him immediately after he came back. How did we not think that he would need counseling? And it wasn't even that, I don't think it was that we didn't think that he would need it. It was that it was so negative at that point in the military to say that you needed help. And so I feel like if we had gotten him counseling as soon as he came back to help him deal with the crap that he saw and had to do and experienced and lived through and thinks about every single day, if we had taken the time to do that counseling 12 years ago, we could have saved holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, just weekends where he would just go into this shutdown mode and close everybody out. Didn't want anything to do with anybody and was just sort of in his own world, in his own mind. And in his mind and his way of thinking was that he was helping us by not talking about it and by working through it on his own. That's what he thought he was doing. He thought he was doing the right thing. In our world, we're looking at this person who's supposed to be the leader of our house, who's supposed to be helping me raise these young men, and I'm watching this man close into the shell and shut us out. And rather than saying something, I would just cover. I would just leave the house with the kids and take them to go do something. And I would make their world so fun and so busy that they didn't even realize what was happening. And that is so wrong. And we should have I should have, and he should have recognized immediately that he needed to go and speak to somebody. But we waited years. We waited too long, is what I feel like, because there's so many feelings that have been built up on top of what happened. And like I said, there's this level of resentment and this level of anger, this level of loneliness, this level of everything, and it just sort of compounds into us saying, I don't even like you. Not only do I not like you, but I don't want to be married to you anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And that conversation has happened more than once in this house. And the truth of the matter is, I love him to the core of everything that I am. Because if I didn't, I would have already walked away. And the same for him. I'm no pie of roses to live with. I know that I'm not easy to live with. And so I know that he loves me and he loves our kids. And it was recently that we had a very deep, very strong heart-to-heart where we decided, like, enough is enough. And we were very open with what we needed to happen in order for our family to be a functioning family. And I am so proud to say that it has, like, done a 180. And he is becoming again the person that I married. He's becoming my friend again, and he's becoming an amazing dad to our kids because he's been willing to see the time that has gone by and to see the things that he's missed out on, because he's living in this moment in the past that can't be changed. You can never go back to that. And at some point, we have to be willing, either as a couple and as a family, to move forward and to work through that together. And yes, God, yes, there are going to be moments where the emotions hit you like a ton of bricks, but you can't shut down in those moments. And that's where the counseling for him would have been crucial, because he could have learned how to work through those moments rather than just shutting down during those moments, which is just detrimental to him, to us, to our family. So those are the two things. The third thing that I feel like I would have done differently, or could do differently the next time that he deploys, is, and we talked about this in the car today, and he was like, I never really thought about that. When he came back and our kids were little, I was the one who did everything. I cooked, I cleaned, I put the kids to bed, I woke the kids up, I got them dressed, I did their homework, I did everything with them. And I failed as a partner in our family to allow him to come back in. Instead of just taking the kids and putting them in the bath and getting them cleaned up and putting their pajamas on them and putting them in the bed, because it was easy, because that's what I was used to doing, and I could knock it out really quick, and the kids were used to it, and so they already knew the routine and they already knew what was going to happen. I should have taken the time to pull him into those activities rather than to allow him to hang on the couch during that bedtime ritual. Rather than allowing him to sit and watch TV, I should have pulled him in to help with those things, and I didn't. I just did what was easy, which was to do them the way that I had been doing them when he wasn't there. And what happened in doing that is that it took so long for our kids to bond with him, because they already weren't really sure exactly, like, they knew who he was, but exactly where he fell into our family, they weren't really sure. And then here I am, like, hovering over them to make sure that not only is everything done correctly, but that everything is done the way that I do it, the way that I want it to be done. And the mistake in doing that is that he wasn't able to do anything because I wasn't allowing him to. And so you have to allow your spouse to find their way in the house. Force them, make them put the kids to bed. It may not be the way that we do it. It may not be the way the kids are used to doing it, but they're going to adjust. And what we talked about tonight in the car was we should have done it together for like a month. We should have done it together every single night. And then I could gradually pull back a little bit, allowing him to step in. They could have had a blast with him at bedtime, but now we'll never know because it never happened. I was always the one to do it. And, same with everything, really. I just stepped in and did it, and so he didn't have to do it. So as they got older, he just didn't do it because he never had. It was kind of just what I did. And I definitely feel like that hindered the bonding between he and the kids. And it wasn't intentional. I wasn't even trying to be controlling. I thought I was being helpful, giving him time to just chill and relax. You go, you chill, you relax, I got this. But really I wasn't being helpful. It was actually detrimental to their relationship. And they're great now, but it's taken a long time for them to find things that they bond over, things that they have in common. So I definitely screwed that up. I would definitely go back and do all of that over again if I could. The fourth thing that I would do over again if I could is I would talk to my friends whose husbands also deployed. I would be really, really real with them. Hey, Katie. I lied. I covered. I put on the happy face. I showed up to the activities, the wives' activities, the kids' activities, everything. When he wasn't there because he was checked out, nobody would have known any different because I didn't allow anybody to know. I covered. And I should have been more honest with the people who were with me during the deployment. I mean, we were family while they were deployed, so why would it be any different after they came back? Like, why do we have to pretend that life is perfect? Maybe their life wasn't perfect either. I don't know. We still don't talk about it. It's just, so that is the fourth thing I would do, is I would definitely, I feel like there should be a spouse support group for after they come back, where you can get together and just be like, are you as frustrated as I am? Does your husband not sleep? Because my husband's not sleeping. Does your husband keep you up all night? My husband is keeping me up all night, up and down, up and down, up and down. You know, a lot of the husbands come back and they start drinking a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and then it's every night, every night, every night, and then it's drinking till you fall asleep. It just happens so quickly. And when it's just in your own house, things seem normal because they happen so gradually. And so I feel like if there had been a spouse support group that met after they came home, that didn't just get together to play bunco, then we could have maybe talked about these things so that I would have known, like, oh, your husband's not doing that? Maybe there's something that's not right then. Maybe I need to look a little deeper into this. So Key Volunteer Network in the Marine Corps is amazing. But I do feel like there can be some tweaks to make it more effective instead of just fun. It's great when they're deployed, but when they're home, it kind of just goes back to being fun. And the truth is, when they're home, we still need that support. We still need to know that what's happening is normal. We don't know. It's like being a first-time mom, right? You don't know. You don't know what's normal and what's not normal because everything's happening for the first time. Same thing with deployments, and every deployment is different. For us, it definitely, like, each deployment just compounded on top of the previous deployment to where we ended up buried under all of this. We were just sinking. We were sinking in emotion. We were sinking in frustration. We were lost in where we were supposed to turn. We were lost in what we could talk about, what we couldn't talk about, and who could we talk about it with. It's been very, very difficult. The number one thing that I would go back and change, and we talked about this tonight in the car, and he agreed, this is like the biggest thing that we both screwed up on. I blocked him from all of these videos, although this one's public. He did not, when he watched the first couple of videos, it hit him emotionally because he had never heard me talk about it before. So he had no idea that his deployments or his actions affected me the way that it has. He had no idea because he was so consumed with himself, and that is not a selfish thing. When I say that, it's not meant to be that he was consumed with himself and only himself. He was consumed with trying to process what had happened to him, around him, to the people that he loved and cared about and served with, to the people who didn't come back with him. And he was so consumed with that he did not recognize or ask how I was doing. And I was so concerned with him, the people that he served with, the families of the people who didn't come back, my own family with my dad at that time, that I never talked about it. I literally just buried all of this. And this last week has been the first time that I've ever really talked about it so openly, to put like how I felt and how I feel and how this affected me. I have never shared this before, not even with him, and still haven't shared it with him because he's blocked from the videos. Communication. You have to communicate with each other. As the wife or the spouse, I will say, let them go first. let them go first. Don't have them come back and you start dumping about how you feel. Because to be honest, in that moment, our feelings are insignificant because they have been through so much more. But as time went on, I should have opened up to him. I should have been honest with him. I should have told him how scared I was. I should have been able to tell him. He didn't even know until today how I found out about everything. I mean, it's been 12 years and we haven't talked about this stuff. I don't know if that's normal or not. We're working on the communicating part. It's a work in progress. But if you don't share with each other what's going on, you can't help each other. If you don't tell each other how you're feeling, what stresses you out, what are your triggers? What are your triggers? You know, I posted a picture on Facebook one day and it totally was a trigger for him and set him off into like this down spiral of emotion that as soon as I saw it, I knew. I was like, oh, here he goes. She's checking out again. And I didn't understand why until he told me. Well, I saw that this such and such picture and I thought, well, damn. If I had known, I wouldn't have put it up. So you have to be able to communicate those triggers, those feelings, your emotions, your frustrations, your joys. Communicate those things. You know, if you're somebody that's looking at a deployment, you're headed towards a deployment, or there's a deployment that's finishing up for you, please, please, please talk to somebody. Don't feel like you have to do it on your own. Don't feel like you're the only one that feels a certain way. And if something feels like it's not normal, it's not. And if you feel like you're being treated unfairly in your own home or you're being neglected in your own home, that's not a normal feeling. And you need to be able to communicate that in a way that they can understand that they do have feelings. They do have this like baggage, if that's what you want to call it, left over from their deployments. But that you want to work through that with them. And it's hard. It's hard because we don't understand. But you can only deal with what you're aware of. And if you don't talk about it, then you're not aware of it. And you can't move forward from that. So thank you for getting on a Saturday night. It's been a very interesting week, a very emotional week for me. I am so glad that I dove into this. I really want to try to get a little bit deeper with it, but it's really, really difficult to talk about while still maintaining the privacy of things that are just really personal to us. But for sure, if you have questions or whatever, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to me and ask me, because I would love to share with you and to talk with you, you know, about things that we've been through or you're going through and be able to help you with those things. So please reach out and let me know if you need it. Do not try to go through this alone. It's a family. Have a great night.